Hello and good evening. My name is Alyssa. This is a podcast that I created. We are 20 something episodes in, and we are here to find small, simple ways to make our life a little bitter, a little brighter, a little better, and just filled with some of the things, some of the self-reflection, the joy, the moments that I think get skipped over. When we have all these big moments in our lives, we have celebrations, births, deaths, promotions, breakups, marriages, but there's all the little moments in between. And I think that's where the richness in our quality of life lives. Happy Thursday and welcome to your sunset chat here on Room for Sunshine. Welcome back. So I am tuning in from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, my final destination on this little world tour that I've been on. And by world tour, I mean I've been carrying this wonderful microphone. I will say, the pod mic. I'm not getting any money or support for promoting this right now, but obviously, but it is a great microphone, and it's been with me through three continents now, which is pretty cool. And for those of you who have also been with me for 3 continents now, thank you. And I had another train today from Philadelphia to New York, and train contemplation is like my new favorite game. I don't even read or listen to music. I just think and reflect, and I love the alone time. Especially when it's only an hour and 15 minutes versus 6 hours. I think it's a healthier amount of reflection. But in being between these two different worlds that I've sort of been in, I came from Bali, which was this spiritual, really grounded, peaceful, nature-filled lifestyle. And I traded all of that in for this really energetic, lively city lifestyle around Europe and the States. And it brought up so much, when we change our environment, I think right away we are confronted with what's been working, what's not been working. And I know for me, I was like, I really missed this. I really missed wandering through a city street. But now I'm like, I really miss waking up to the sound of roosters and nature. But the thing that has been the most real for me today is I noticed that there was a lot of self-judgment. When I was thinking about, am I going to change this? Am I going to move here? Am I going to try and get this job? I felt a lot of self-criticism and judgment coming through that for a long time I had pushed away. And I think in a world where we have judgments and opinions coming in from every direction, we have our family, we have our friends, we have the news, we have social media, our bosses. I mean, there is just endless ways that subtly and not so subtly, you're being judged and criticized for the decisions you're making. And I think this can go both directions, positive and negative. When I was in New York, I would have some people coming up to me being like, I am so jealous of your life in Bali. Like, I wish I was doing that. I wish I was on my own eat, pray, love yoga teaching journey. I'm living through you. And so one part of me is hearing like, oh my God, okay, I gotta enjoy this because somebody is living their life through me, or some part of it, take this with a grain of salt. But then I would have other people coming up to me being like, how long are you going to be in Bali? Like, aren't you tired of it? Like, you live on an island. Don't you miss shopping? Don't you miss living close to your family? What are you going to do about those other things that you were doing before with screenwriting? And so from those people, I was feeling this judgment of like, oh my God, am I wasting my time? Am I behind? Like, what am I doing wrong? Help. And as with anything, we're always going to hear both sides, to someone's opinion, to someone's perception. But when I was on the train today, I realized that I am pretty good about filtering through the noise of other people's judgment. But where I get really caught up for myself is with my own self-judgment. And so I started going through all the ways that I was judging myself on both ends for the decision that I had made to move to Bali, and then also for the decision to stay. And then when I started reflecting on like, what are the things I want in the upcoming months, I found myself judging myself for those things too. And then I was like, wow, there's no winning. And then I was like, that is a gift, that there is no winning, because then we get to draw, we get to create, we get to make decisions without trying to seek perfection. And when I say perfection, I guess ultimately what that means to me is living life in a way that you originally believed it should be lived, or in the way that it was told to you to be lived. I think most people who kind of grow up in a more traditional home and lifestyle, who have the opportunity and the privilege to go through schooling systems, are exposed at a very young age to what this dream Western life is. And if you're living that life, that's amazing. This is not a criticism on the American dream, but it is a observation of how dependent we have become on this one image that we've set for ourselves, that anytime we step out of line, we judge ourselves for it. At least I judge myself for it. I can't speak for you, but this is just me sharing what is real for me, and maybe some of it resonates for you. And I think there is healthy judgment. Absolutely. We need to be critical. We need to be challenging ourselves and questioning ourselves to keep ourselves in check. But there is the unhealthy judgment that prevents us from taking risks that can change our lives. And there's a million ways to look at anything somebody says. But what I really want to focus on tonight is like, what are you judging yourself for this week? And can you acknowledge it first and foremost, but then secondly, start to accept so that you don't need to reach that goal or reach whatever that thing is that you're judging yourself for doing or not doing. So for me, I realized I was judging myself for not doing more in the screenwriting realm in the way that I had thought I would, but also I was judging myself for loving being back in a city. And it wasn't the other people who were making me feel insecure. It was my own inner dialogue and my own inner parts of my personality that were making me feel shitty. At least for me, just by acknowledging what the judgment is, it can be so liberating. It's so liberating to be able to say, you know what, I'm judging myself for whatever it is. And just to say it out loud and own it, because then we have ownership of it rather than it having control or ownership over us and over our decisions. And so much of this podcast and of life is, for me, really about learning to empower ourselves to have agency over the things that we can in a world where there's much that we can't control. And so this Thursday evening, my reflection question for you is, what is something that you have been judging yourself for? And can you just see it? Can you recognize it? Can you say it out loud? Can you accept it? Can you forgive it? And if something needs to change, what is that thing? Because ultimately, to me, we live in a world where it's going to come at you from a million different angles anyways. So how do we start to honor that voice, but also quiet that voice within our own minds? And then from there, hopefully we can feel a little more empowered to step into fear, to step into risk, to do things that support the lives we want to be living. That is all I have to share with you this evening. Thank you for being here. Give us a little rating if you like the episode. Please let me know if there's anything you want to hear from me. And I will see you bright and early Monday morning for our sunrise chat.